Hey, it's Tammy with Flippin' Furniture. This is a guitar makeover. I just scuff sanded this guitar before I started, and here I am just cleaning it up with a Clorox wipe after having done the sanding, just getting the dust off of it. And next we are just going to jump on into I'm laying down some paper towels below it just because, the rug I have it on, who knows? There's probably some dog hair and who knows what else on there. So I just laid some paper towels down to try to keep it clean while I'm working on it. And then I'm just jumping on into some heavy gesso in black. And I am just using a stippling motion with the biggest dabbing brush that I have in the package from Prima. And I just stippled the whole thing. I mean, strings and all, front, back, everything I could. And once it was dry, I did the whole thing again. Because you can see it has it was shiny. So it was very easy to tell once it dried the first time. You could see some shiny spots. So every time I dried it, I would find another spot that needed done. So then once that was all dry, here I am coming in with some country white paint, which is actually fusion mineral paint in raw silk. And I'm putting that on the lower half because we're getting ready to decoupage there with this musical rice paper from Decoupage Queen. And I'm using a water pen there to take off the borders. I'm just wetting down the paper to make it tear easily to take it off of there. And I'm doing it on the second sheet too because the first sheet was not quite large enough to cover the whole base there. And you can see I've got a sunflower up at the top. That did not work out. I did not love that because I did not put a white paint below it. I was not thinking. And then once I got into it, I thought, oh, it might work. It might just look a little grungy, but I didn't love it. And then I tried to paint over the sunflowers with a yellow paint and some mustard paint and some orange and some brown, and then I liked it even less. So I ended up just stippling on more black gesso over the sunflowers and the harlequin up there and ended up going with molds, as you will see coming up. But anyway, back to the decoupage down here. We just got this all decoupaged on there, and then I sanded off the excess. And then I used the decoupage medium over the top to seal it. And as you can tell, I suck at editing video. I could have, actually, I thought I did edit this part out, so. Anywho, I'm still learning, so please give me a little bit of grace. But anyway, there I sealed it. There I'm drying it. Now I've finally moved on to putting the molds up here at the top. And these were from Amazing Casting Resin. I think almost all the products that I'm telling you about are on my website. Yes, I casted all these from resin. Resin is my new love. I fought it for a long time. I was so intimidated by resin. Now I am a smitten kitten with it. So I absolutely love making molds from resin. And I am adhering them with heavy body gel. I love that stuff too. So just gluing them all on, figuring out the placement, just sticking them on where I think I'm going to want them to go. That takes some time figuring out your placement, but anyway, just getting them all glued on everywhere I want them to go. Don't know what happened there. But looks like another spot where I tried to delete some video and it didn't let me. Okay, and then once I've got them all on there, then I put black gesso over the whole thing on top of all those molds. And I even used a little craft brush to get into all those little holes and everything. So that's pretty tedious. And now you can see I've came back in. I have a bunch of different colored metallic waxes that I'm using my finger and just brushing it on with my finger. You can see I've got some copper, I've got some peacock, I've got some aged brass, and then you can see I zipped on past that, and then I'm using some of that aged brass around the edge of the guitar also. I've got that mold there that I will glue down at some point. That is a Sweet Dahlia mold, I do believe, that I'd used mica powders in the mold for actually, but I do add some waxes to it also. But yes, I do use, I think it's aged brass that I use all the way around the entire guitar. And even for the strings and I don't know what you call all the things on the guitars, but a lot of the little pieces on the guitars, the metal at the end. And there we are back up to, and that is how I work. I do go all over the place. ADD brain here, so legit. But here I am stenciling on the bottom there. I'm using chalk paste and cocoa. And I love that stuff. Especially on little thin stencils that you can't hardly stencil with because they're just so tiny. You just make a mess. But stencil paste does a wonderful job of working that, which this stencil wasn't that tiny, but anywho, yeah, the stencil paste does an amazing job getting in there. And the word is vintage, which you probably, I don't know if you could see that already, but anyway, I used cocoa, which is a dark brown, and I'm using a angled spatula or a palette knife, metal spatula. Heard it called several different things. And then you need to carefully lift that off so you don't smear it. Ta-da! I love it. And then I'm going back to putting the aged brass wax. Well, you saw me briefly putting it on there. And there I am edging the corners all around the details on this guitar with the aged brass wax. All the little bitty accents. And if you have more questions, like I said, my editing skills, I'm learning, just learning, and let's just leave it there. I'm learning. So feel free to reach out and ask me questions. I will more than make up for it that way.